The New York Mets have certainly been a very busy team this offseason, especially how in the tide of 2018 it certainly looked different. They brought back Jay Bruce, they brought in Adrian Gonzalez, and now they brought in another All-Star to have another complement to their lineup. Two-time All-Star Todd Fraizer and the New York Mets last night agreed to a 2-year, $17 million contract. This was reported by Ken Rosenthal last night. Particularly, Fraizer was most memorable moments were from last season, playing with the New York Yankees. And if none of you remember the thumbs down movement, this was the thumbs down movement started by Todd Fraizer. Particularly, it made a big impression on the team making the playoffs last season and going all the way to the American League Championship Series. It was adapted from a New York Mets fan that became a staple for the Yankees. This is interesting. I got to admit that. And this is the craziest thing, but I want to quickly show you this photo. This is well published by Bleacher Report, the whole article itself, but this was Todd Fraizer in 1998 next to Derek Jeter. Who would have thought that would have happened? But this is a kid from Toms River, New Jersey, and hopefully we'll see a lot of Todd Fraizer this season. The Mets now look like a very dangerous team. If everything plays itself out right, the Mets certainly have very good chance to be competitive. I thought last season they could have been competitive, but injuries really hurt them. So, the Mets, of course, that $39 million contract with Jay Bruce. This is only $17 million. So the Mets basically right here got a huge, huge steal. So now we're going to take a look at his career numbers. Pull it up right here. Now this is interesting. Career-wise, 245 average. But look how many runs batted in he has. Almost 500. Okay, not too bad. His best year in professional baseball would be 2 years ago with the White Sox, where he played almost full season and he had 40 home runs, almost batted in 100 runs. And overall, when you look at his average, I had his average here earlier. Let's see, here's batting average. Batting average wise, his best years were in Cincinnati in 2012 and 2014, hitting for the same average of 273. Not too bad, but this guy really doesn't hit for average. He's more of a home run hitter. 27 home runs, you combine that, 16 plus 11, so that was tending to be 26. So you add that one, 27 home runs, so that's 76 runs batted in. You add both the numbers from the White Sox, and of course, the time he spent with the Yankees, where he only played 66 games, so that's in total 447 games. This guy particularly can get you a lot of games. He can average you about 150, 160 games from what we can make this out. Now, here's the weird thing. I wanted to show you this. His birthday is actually coming up on Monday. So he will be 32 when pitchers and catchers report to Port St. Lucie on Tuesday. So that's a good sign. Summer's coming back soon, and we'll have baseball every single day, which I'm looking forward to. That'll be fun. So I don't really want to make this video that long because, again, I've been in depth with the Mets previously. I'm going to show you now how dangerous this lineup's going to look. You mean the Yankees have a lineup? Look at the Mets. Look at the Mets now. Okay, maybe I was overlooking Brandon Nimmo, and I was talking to Nick Durst about this last night when the news broke. Was that I've underestimated him because maybe there's some potential. Maybe he leads off. Maybe Juan Lagares somehow gets involved, starting every other day. If the Mick, as we like to call him, that's his nickname now, Mickey Callaway. If the Mick will consider putting Juan Lagares to lead off every other day, because Brandon Nimmo's not going to start 162 games. No. On opening day, this is what the lineup could look like. And keeping in mind the season starting in March. That's when the first game is supposed to start. So that's crazy as it is. This is a very dangerous lineup. I got to admit that. Now that you have Todd Fraizer in the 5-hole, and then Ahmed Rosario, if he shows you any potential, this lineup could definitely keep the Mets in tune to a playoff spot. Hopefully during the dog days of August and September, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be fun to watch the Mets. Hopefully it will be. Maybe both the Mets and the Yankees, for the first time in 3 years, will both make the playoffs. Maybe that will happen. That last happened in 2015. Well, the Yankees lost the wild card game, and the Mets made it all the way to the World Series. So is it possible that both the Yankees and the Mets do good? I certainly want that to happen. In the number one baseball market in the country, you want that to happen. Like New York. Yes. But again, I look at this lineup and I say to myself, don't they have a shot? Don't they have a shot to at least win 88, 89, 90 games and be a playoff team? And if you look at the pitchers, the pitchers are very familiar. If Mickey Callaway is smart with his approach with these pitchers, then this could be a competitive team. No question. See, what the Mets wanted to do was bring in pitching first mentality. That's what they have. The front office is now doing its job. It's been doing it since January. Here we are, exactly 1 week away from pitchers and catchers reporting. And when I look at all the teams, and normally hot stove in baseball is, well, it's normally between November and late January. And sometimes I've seen teams make trades in January. I've seen that happen before. I gotta admit, if it wasn't for the New York Mets, this would be a very quiet offseason. Very, very quiet. I will admit that. And thankfully the Mets long term did the right thing and gave Cespedes his money. And now he's going to be batting cleanup every single day almost. Cespedes has to play 150 to 160 games. And that's something that Joe Bonico talked about today on his program, was that the Mets have to get between 140 and 158 games out of these guys every day. Otherwise, who's going to be playing a full 162? Not everybody can play a full 162 games. Yes, you'll have your injuries. But I want the Mets to be competitive, even though I'm a Yankee fan. I'm saying it now. I wanted to see what the Mets can do. It was fun watching them in 2015. I will admit that. And yes, they had that magical last ride to make the playoffs in 2016. Last year was a disaster. I know that. The Mets have a good situation. they're in a very, very fortunate spot that the front office actually made moves. Now, when opening day comes, after we get through a lengthy spring training period, let's see the product on the field. What can it do? I will be the judge of that during the season. And it will be the same thing with me with the Yankees. I will be the judge of that. So far in the offseason, the Yankees made some moves. It looks like right now, the real winner of the MLB, you look at all the teams right now, the real winner of the free agency period we are in and are about to, of course, go into spring training next week, is the New York Mets. That's who's won. So that, I end the video. Let me know what you think about this move. I want to hear what you have to say, because honestly, I think the Mets can be a competitive team. Certainly a playoff team, but what's going to happen when they play the Cubs and the Dodgers? That's going to be a question that would have to be determined. But for now, I think they can be competitive. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And remember, next week is pitchers and catchers reporting, so we'll definitely get closer to the start of the spring training games by the 24th. So that's it. Take care.